Hi guys, I hope you're well. Matt Rhodes here, and I'm back with another arm wrestling video. And this time it's about the very controversial and subjective topic of pound for pound rankings. Now, just a couple days ago, Devon Larratt posted on Instagram a pound for pound ranking system where he featured at number 1. This, of course, has led to a lot of debate amongst fans in whether this ranking system is correct or not. Now, already one of the biggest discussion points is people upset when people say Levan Saginashvili should be number 1. The main reply to that is, you're stupid, you don't understand what pound for pound means. But are those people actually right? Or can Levan Saginashvili actually be quite rightfully ranked as number 1, even in a pound for pound system? What does pound for pound actually mean? It means ranking an athlete on both their skill and performance, regardless of their weight class. It's a way to assess athletes' skill, talents and achievements as if they weren't competing within different weight classes. So effectively, we're hypothetically putting them all in the same weight class to see who would come out as the most dominant. By the way guys, just before we continue, I'm now on 124,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm not very good at doing all the different things that you can get out of YouTube, including, I've never applied for my channel plaque at 100,000 subscribers. But on the advice of others, I have just opened memberships on my channel. So if you want to become part of the team, get some extra benefits, it'd be great to have you on board. And once we build up some members, I'll look at different ways that we can explore to really do some interesting thing for members of my channel. So if it's of interest to you, it would be great to have you on board. So we'll get into the nitty-gritty of this pound for pound ranking system, but just on the face of it, the obvious ones that stand out is Devon Larratt at number 1 and Levan Saginashvili at number 11. Now, whenever pound for pound rankings come up, it's most common that people immediately discount the heaviest athletes within that conversation, but that doesn't actually always make sense to do so. Factually speaking, the heaviest person in the sport can still be, pound for pound, the number 1, but we always have the issue of never knowing the outcome if that person faces a heavy opponent, because there isn't one. And that's what makes it particularly tricky to give that title to one of the biggest athletes, because we never actually know what the outcome would be if they face someone heavier than them. And therefore, pound for pound systems always tend to have bias against the biggest guys in any sport where a pound for pound system is being ranked. Now, because we're focusing on this pound for pound ranking system, we have to look closely at the criteria that the guys who made this pound for pound system have come up with. And they are dominance in their weight division, ability to beat heavier athletes, the manner in which they defeated their opponents. So 3 criteria there, and those are the ones we should also work off if we're going to compare like for like on the results that they came up with and give our own ideas of if they got it right or wrong. Now, the first thing to say is this is based on athletes at their current level, current performance. It's probably pretty fair to say that if this was over all time, John Brezink would probably be in the equation for number 1, if not number 1. I think a lot of people would agree on that, but of course, this is an era after John's dominance, and so the rankings are different and based on modern day competing arm wrestlers. So let's look. Devon Larratt, he's been a multiple weight world champion and he's currently ranked number 2 in the super heavyweights. He's had a couple defeats in recent times, notably 2 against Levan Saginashvili, and of course he also lost to Gennady. We must also take into account, I believe, that Devon has also been very active, taking a lot of matches, much more than some of the other guys on this list, which of course has 2 meanings. One is that you can win more matches, but you also have a greater chance of losing matches, and of course you have less rest time and recovery between those matches. On the flip side, if you take the current number 1 in the world, Levan Saginashvili, he tends to only have a couple matches each year, so 6 months between matches. So should that work against him when we're doing a pound for pound ranking system? I think a big question would be, if Devon Larratt were to be the same body weight as Levan Saginashvili, would he beat him? It's not necessarily factual that as a guy gets heavier and heavier, he gets that much stronger. It doesn't work linearly like that. There's a point in body weight when you're already near your maximum that if you hypothetically kept putting on weight, it doesn't mean you get that much stronger. Of course, you might put on a little bit of strength, but also things such as skill, technique probably wouldn't improve in Devon's case just because he was putting on more body weight. So if he was Levan's weight, Does that automatically mean he would beat him? No, it doesn't. No, I'm not saying he would or wouldn't, but it's just certainly not something that's factual either way. Now, of course, Levan Saginashvili has been absolutely dominant at superweight over these last few years, undefeated. Really, there's just one match where you could say he was truly tested, which was against Hermes Gasparini, where he had to stop after 4 rounds, but he was 4-0 up. Now, again, a reminder of the criteria. Dominance in their weight division. Well, I would say Levan probably has been the most dominant of any weight division. He hasn't been beaten, and he hasn't really lost a round. 2 rounds were given to Hermes when Levan stopped competing, but that's it, against all of the best super heavyweights in the world. The manner in which they defeated their opponents were a game. Let's be honest, he's absolutely destroyed all of his opponents. But the third and tricky criteria, ability to beat heavier athletes. Well, of course, there isn't a heavier athlete, but if we took anybody in the world right now that weighs more than Levan Saginashvili and put them in an arm wrestling match against him, is there anyone that could beat him? No, there's not, is there? So do you go with someone like Devon Larratt, who has lost some matches, who has lost to someone like Levan, but weighs less and competes more? Or do you go for someone like Levan, who has been absolutely dominant, but there's not anyone heavier than him? In my opinion, by these pound-for-pound rankings, there's no way Levan can be down at number 11. On balance, definitely Devon Larratt has to be right up there in the top 3. But I think Levan Saginashvili also does. I think there's a lot of confusion, pound for pound, people just discounting the biggest, heaviest guy. His dominance, the manner in which he defeated his opponents are unquestioned. And his ability to beat anyone heavier than him, well, there's no one heavier than him that could beat him. I think the one factor that could arguably work against the claim for Levan being much higher in his rankings is when he was much lighter in body weight, he was nothing like so dominant. He did suffer some losses. However, do you put that down to inexperience and less technique and skill at that time? Or do you simply put that down to weight? That's a big question, and depending on your feelings on that will affect how high or low you rank him. Looking at some other people on this list, Oleg, back in the day, I think he would have had to have ranked right up there. A very light guy, but absolutely dominant with his crazy arm, wasn't he? But in this time now, where he's a lot less active and less dominant, it's probably fair to see him where you do on the rankings. Todd Hutchings, it's normal to see him there on the list, I think. I think most people would expect that. Todd, of course, has been extremely dominant. The older he gets, the better he seems to get. But we just saw Dave Chafee drop to 115 kilos body weight and absolutely steamroll through Todd. So perhaps Dave Chafee coming down a weight now should be in the conversation of a pound for pound ranking like this. I would also look at someone like Muratov, the only light heavyweight ranked in the super heavyweight division, and also a heavyweight champion who was lighter than that weight class. And someone missing off of this completely, Zoloev. Perhaps he should be on there. What do you guys think? I think there are a few admissions that you could arguably make a case for being in this list. So I've summarized for you guys my general thoughts on this here. It's a completely subjective matter. My main point is you cannot just completely disregard the heaviest guys in the sport in a pound for pound ranking. They're still relevant and it's still possible they could be number 1 if they're dominant enough the way in which they've defeated their opponents. But I have given a few reasons why perhaps in the case of this, you could discount some things about Levan. Overall, of course, it's an interesting subject and it's just a bit of fun, but let me know your opinions in the comments below. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll be back with another video very soon.